Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, we are live for the Beacon TVL show, your weekly source for excellent takes, great thoughts about alpha in the space, and our call for help segment where we help you answer questions that you ask of us beforehand for the greater good of all of those that are on chain. Yes,
Chris,
Andrew.
why'd you get a haircut?
This is not part of the scripted plan, sir, but I appreciate you asking.
We gotta always have a little bit of a off script cold open, right?
Yes,
this is sort of our thing.
The answer to your question, sir, is frankly because my wife said she didn't like my hair anymore. And well, it's not that she didn't like my hair, and I just want to apologize to my wife if she sees this.
She's probably not.
Probably not, but it's just a matter of she just didn't like my hair being down past my shoulders. I don't know if it was because our hair length was actually somewhat similar, and she just didn't care for that. But
so she's kind of like Highlander. There can only be one with long hair.
I think so. One thing too is that one thing to note here is that there are two things that I was able to do and knock off my bucket list in life with this hair. One, I was able to have a mullet because I always wanted a mullet.
Oh my God.
And I was able to get through that in a time where mullets were fashionable. Yes, there was a time when mullets were fashionable, and I was able to get through that part. Two, I was able to have a mohawk. That was the other thing I've always wanted, because myself being in a tightly controlled, Asian Catholic upbringing, revolting against was just not something that you did. Nothing too wild or anything like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Chris, would you dye your hair orange when Bitcoin breaks 100K?
I would be willing to do that. I'm more of an Avalanche fan, so I'd go with the bright red. So if you're a fan of the red coin and you want me to dye my hair Avalanche red when Bitcoin hits 100K, I would be more than willing to do that. I'd look like Mila Jovovich from The Fifth Element, probably, because of my hair being as dark as it is. But yeah, I will say that this is actually a transition cut because it was very long.
Somebody clip this and send it to me in like 6 months.
Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, this was more of a transition cut to kind of get me to your hairstyle is probably where it's going to end up going, because unfortunately, if I cut my hair too much around this length, I look like Kim Jong-un from Team America, World Police Team America.
Wait. So first you stole your wife's haircut, and now you're trying to steal mine?
No, I didn't steal her haircut. I just grew my hair out long because that was something that I couldn't do as a child, because my hair just doesn't do that. It just didn't grow long enough. So I took the pandemic and the 2-3 years of that time to see if I could do it. I did it. I can knock that off my bucket list, and now I can go back to, looking, having a well-managed hairstyle of men of my age. Now that my crown up back here that you guys will never see is super thin.
For like men of your age of like 29, right?
Yeah, that's not true. But I will say there's a lot of long hair problems that I really didn't care for. One was the heat.
Yeah.
That was difficult. So anyone with long hair, I salute you. And I also shed a lot of hair. And there's a lot of places that hair ends up that you don't want hair to end up. And I just, that's TMI, but I just wanted to say I'm happy to not have to worry about that anymore. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you snitching on me there. And but I do believe in the happy spouse, happy house. Is that right?
Yes. I thought it was happy wife, happy life, but I mean,
it is,
sure.
but just to be more correct about it, happy spouse, happy house. That way it can go both ways for people that want to have more of an equal 50-50 relationship like my wife and I do. So yes, that is why I cut my hair, mainly because she didn't like it.
Wow, I triggered a really long hold open, didn't I?
You sure did, because it does mean a lot to me. But at the same time, I want my wife to find me attractive, and if she doesn't find me attractive anymore because of my hair, I'm gonna cut that.
Oh yeah. Just sure, man. Yeah, cut that hair.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I can always just get extensions or put on a wig or something if I really want long hair again.
Yeah, I've had long hair before. Don't miss it.
Yeah.
Short's the way to go. Low maintenance.
I agree.
It's all you know how much I'm about efficiency, Chris, right? So
I'm also an efficiency junkie.
I don't give myself a lot of options for clothing just so I can just like not think about it, put on basically the same thing every day. Kind of probably a little neurodivergent like that. And also I like I don't want to waste time telling off the hair. I don't want to have to use a hair dryer. Like those seconds add up. Having long hair is probably taking an extra 5 minutes out of your life every day.
I agree.
So I want to congratulate you, Chris. Well, just finally, and then we can move on for reclaiming that time. You've reclaimed 5 minutes per day.
And I do hope that the 7.5 inches of hair that was removed from my body is going to a good place. I doubt it because it probably just got swept off the barber room floor and is just living in a dumpster somewhere. But in the event that spiritually that hair goes somewhere else to a better place, I thank it for its time. We had good times. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these scrunchies, though. These little hair tie things. I need to figure out something to do with them. That's do cable management or something nerdy.
Donate them. All right. We're 7 minutes in.
Let me go back to what we were supposed to open with. Thank you, Andrew. I did want to talk about, so last week we did in our what we learned section where we talk about alpha, different things that we've talked about. We talked a lot about base, right, with Aerodrome and the monumental amount of momentum that Coinbase put into Aero's sales by literally buying a metric ton of it to help control the narrative with bribes. One thing we talked about on this call was specifically to start farming it specifically on Extra Finance, the USDC Aero LP. And we went actually into very deep depths on this on our Thursday market make liquidity call for our mastermind. But I did want to show the results so far after 1 week. So we'll be talking this about on our Thursday call again tomorrow. But the position we set up, I set up with $100. Just wanted to get in, see how it's doing. It was, I guess, at 3% per day at that point. It was a big amount. So after one week, we're up to $16.76 farmed on $100. Maybe it's more than 100. I think it might have been 110, like $110 or something like that. Either way,
and that's neutral.
Really good return. And this is delta neutral. Well, 2.74x neutral. Again, we talked about on the call that you're going to be either net short or net long over time based on auto compounding. But yeah,
neutral-ish.
Unbelievable. Neutral-ish. That's why it's called pseudo delta neutral, right? So really happy with the results so far. I don't think you can get in this position right now on base, just so you guys know, because it's so popular. A lot of people have followed along. There is an Aero USDBC position, which is the wrapped version of USDC on base that you can probably get into with better, very similar, not the exact same rate, but similar in the park range. But at least there's a little bit of room to get some leverage there for now. So I know that they've already set up multiple pools for USDC and USDBC on their lending side to compensate for this. So hopefully there's more room soon. So Andrew, I know you're also farming this. Want to get a couple of words on your take on this through our testing, as well as how you see the position has been working out so far, at least on your end for the last week.
It's been going good, and a lot of that is because Aero has not dumped like a lot of other tokens and coins have. Aero's doing well. I don't think now is like the time to be buying a huge bag of it. But I expect that over the medium term, it's likely going to go much higher. Without getting into all of the details around that, it's because it's the major, it's the major DEX, the token for a major DEX on a chain that I'm extremely bullish on for the rest of this cycle. Because it's associated with Coinbase, the major centralized exchange for the United States. So yeah, for now, leverage long farming it, essentially getting paid to farm it, or getting paid to long it, or pseudo delta neutral farming it. Both have been doing pretty well. Still a fairly risky position, but if you're looking to get into DeFi and maybe you don't want to dip your toes in with a huge amount of capital, but you want to be like, what is something I can do? Let me experience some DeFi with still like a little bit of a swing for the fences mentality. $100 on extra finance on base chain, probably not a bad place to start.
I mean, I've already made $16 in a week. If you want to learn more about how to even set this position up or even what goes behind that, please join our free group, school.com/beacon, for the free TVL group, stands for Total Value Locked, which is exactly what this is up here in the left-hand corner if you see Total Value Locked. And that's what TVL refers to, the amount of money locked into a protocol. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're giving you all this value that we're locking into our platform. So if you know anybody that's curious about a position like this, again, $110 I think is what I started with here. So to get $16 in return off a week, fantastic, right? I'm not going to get that in my bank. I can get that on a savings account. So just wanted to share that with you all. And based off of our talk last week about this. And we'll go ahead and move on to the rest of what we had planned for today. The one thing we can also talk about is, the state of the market currently, right? So we were in Euphoria last week. Bitcoin hit another all-time high at, I think it was 73 or something like that. I don't have the exact number like we did when it hit its all-time high the first time, which was 69,324 last Tuesday. A little bit of a different tone over this weekend, as Bitcoin and ETH have actually bled quite a bit, specifically over the last 3 or 4 days. So let me go ahead and pull back my other screen. Andrew, any thoughts about that while I get the screen up?
I think it's healthy that we had a bit of a pullback, flush out some crazy leverage. If we had just continued going parabolic, we could have been in for a shorter bull market or a larger crash. So happy to see it. Kind of was expecting it. And that's that.
Yeah, so this is where we're currently at. Obviously, we actually went, I guess, earlier this morning, we actually touched 61 in an interesting setup there. So obviously the last week has been pretty red. A lot of, I guess the word that people use is blood in the streets. And there's a couple different ways to kind of look at this, right? So if we look at it from a news standpoint, TradingView, one of the biggest platforms that is out there, one that many people in our group use, in my opinion, probably one of the best tools to have if you are into trading or just looking at charts. Ultimately, they're talking about two things that are happening. We're in the second phase of the halving trend, the halving, of course, coming next month to Bitcoin. And then the other part is that holders are taking profit. I don't know about that per se. There might be there might have been a lot of liquidations, in my opinion, that caused a little bit of forced selling. But yeah, there probably could have been a wave of profit taking. I do think the one thing that's a little different about this run is that we have the BTC ETFs coming in with inflows. So we'll see exactly what happens here. But I think the key part here is what's also happening behind the scenes. So Michael Saylor with MicroStrategy went ahead and made more big buys. At this point, they currently own about 1% of the entire supply. That's a huge milestone for them. So ultimately, obviously, everything we've talked about so far, everything we've shown you, not financial advice. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. But, this could be a pretty interesting accumulation zone, because most signs, and again, using this chart right here that I wanted to bring up from Rect Capital. specifically, there's a lot of patterns that happen, because investing and whatnot is, they say, is always cyclical, right? That we're just in an earlier part of that second phase before the run up, and we're still 30 days away from roughly when that halving is going to happen. So, probably a really good time to accumulate, in my personal opinion, before more of an upward move. Obviously, take that for what you will, but just wanted to kind of talk about that. Any other thoughts that you have, Andrew, about any of this before we move forward?
Not so much. I think I was checking the news on the Fed meeting right quick, and New York Times says Fed set to keep rates steady, hint at future cuts. That's kind of what's expected. I think we're at an intersection of some very interesting different things happening. We've got shipping complications. We've got a U.S. election year. We have BTC inflows. We have ETH ETF speculation. We have potential Fed rate cuts later in the year. It's just a real spicy time. It's a real spicy time. And I think that's a fun chart.
I agree. The ETH chart has bounced back pretty well. It was down over close to 3,100 yesterday, so it's back up above 33. But again, very interesting time. I really hope nobody took leverage. There are a lot of liquidations that happen, cascading, in fact. So just be very careful out there. But good time to get some majors while you still can. Outside of that, the last week has been marked by a lot of interesting meme coin action, specifically on the Solana side, to the point that the SEC has requested an extra $158 million to police the crypto's Wild West. Let me put some context in here, because this is part of their fiscal year 2025 budget. I'll put the link here in the chat. We'll also have in our show notes for anybody who wants to check it out afterwards, which will be on our school platform, as well as our mastermind platform.
Chris, you are going to have to take Dogwoof Hat from my cold, dead hands.
I feel the same way about Bonk, and I feel the same way about Peng. We'll have to see exactly what happens here, but they do believe that there's just going to be, really, really terrible projects coming out, and I absolutely completely agree. One thing that I don't have a specific I don't have a specific slide on here, but one thing I wanted to talk about was something I talked about with on both of our communities. And again, welcome to anybody who's not seen this before. I do recommend you please hit the like button and subscribe. We've seen a lot of projects over the last week launch with these new pre-sale metrics, and they're actually mixing in with airdrop. So it's like, you send me one sol, half of it's going to go to an airdrop, the other half is going to go into a liquidity pool. So many of these came out, so many of them rugged, that it's just crazy. So PSA on that, don't do the pre-sale meta. It's not good. It's nothing but speculation. There's going to be tons of other 100x opportunities. Now, there's only been one that seemed to be crazy, which is Book of Meme, which is BOME. That went to, $1 billion market cap in under 2 days. That is not normal, right? I know people want to get on these opportunities. There are better ways to get excellent gains. There are too many rugs happening to justify the risk. But what I will say is, also, obviously not tax advice, be very careful on what you get on these gains, because you do have to pay taxes on them, depending on your jurisdiction, obviously. But just be very careful, because they're watching. They're always watching.
You're funding the memes today, Chris?
No, I'm not funding the memes, because it's been very helpful to the price of Solana. It's been very helpful to the price of AVAX, and it's been very helpful to the price of BNB chain. That was the other one I wanted to put in. I was like, because the price of BNB has been absolutely insane over the last month. We were looking. I mean, we were staring right down the barrel of $200 BNB. This mythical price that brings down all the bears, all the bulls rather, that would cause a massive liquidation cascade. But now, especially running into ETH Denver, we had a great run up on BNB. I mean, just look at that. It's just been a beautiful rise for anybody who is a BNB advocate. The meme coin season is alive and well on I keep wanting to say BSC. It's not BSC anymore. It's called BNB chain.
Will always be BSC to me, but
same. But ultimately for AVAX, for BNB, for Solana, and also for Base, we're seeing a lot of uptick in traffic. Obviously the whole idea with the meme coins are being very helpful for Solana. We'll talk about a little bit more about that in our call for help section today. But just please be very careful. Do not do the pre-sale meta. Many times you're just going to get wrecked, and if you don't have the time to do it, it's not worth it.
Hey, Chris, I saw a really fun tweet on this.
Yes.
Somebody just tweeted for all of the Solana degens, send 1 sol to this address, and I will send you absolutely nothing back.
Exactly. That's pretty much the whole thing, right? This is no different than that older scheme where if you sent 1 ETH, you'll get 2 ETH back. How does that work, right? So this is very much what we call a trust me bro situation. And
yeah, that's just a Ponzi, sir.
Yeah, it's just a Ponzi, right? As much as we love a good Ponzi.
And not actually a Ponzi, it's really just a scam. That's just a scam.
And then you have stories like Slurf, where you had, in my opinion, it's a complete work. The guy knew what he was doing. He burnt the entire airdrop supply, which is like $10 million, to then crunch the supply and send Slurf up into the heavens. So I think that was very much done, with sincerity. But anyways, that's why this is DeFi. That's why this is the Wild West. Welcome to the world of meme coins. Ha ha. Anyway, let's continue with what else we have. So again, we were talking about the SEC and their fiscal year 2025 budget plan. If you really want to spend the time, I wouldn't going through exactly what Chair Gensler wants to do with all of the funds that they're getting from their budget, then you can certainly read through that. But policing crypto is going to be a large part of that, whether they come in with more workers, various other things. It's no secret that there are probably multiple degens who work for the government. So, a little bit of left hand, right hand kind of play there, right?
Maybe we should just defund the SEC.
But what about college football? Oh, wait, we're not talking about the Southeastern Conference? Oh, we're talking about the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm so sorry. Sorry. That was really terrible. I apologize. That wasn't funny at all. We'll move on. So,
No, it was Chris. I was just laughing.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I wasn't laughing either. And I normally laugh at my own stuff all the time, right?
No, I was totally laughing.
I'm a dad joke connoisseur. Yeah, you know what? My humor left with my hair. Pretty sure. I was a lot funnier with long hair.
I mean, that SEC likes gambling, so that's cool.
That's true. They have lots of gamblers there. I could have gone to an entire aside about how crypto will start being a part of that betting situation, but we're not going to go there right now. But we will go to it is a segue about GameFi. So GameFi has always been on the bullish roadmap. We've been talking about it for years. I remember when I was onboarding people 3 years ago, I said it's going to be this next year is going to be an explosive intersection of NFT, GameFi and utility. NFT utility and GameFi. Yeah, and I've been saying that every year since. We haven't gotten there. Various reasons, right? AAA gamers, that's like the majority of the big money, at least from a console and PC perspective. They're not going to buy games that are doing like that. Now, mobile gamers, different story, right? You have these small games, these mobile games, or these what we call these gotcha games that have, micro payment transaction type systems, definitely makes sense to have a non-fiat based payment rail system in there. I mean, for me, it would be, honestly, I wouldn't care if my kids wanted me to send them $20 in Robux from a Web3 wallet, as opposed to going and buying the gift card, scratching off the code, and then going through this whole system of trying to redeem the gift code, which I found out you can't split Robux off of one gift card. It's either all or nothing. So it's like I bought $50, now I have to buy my other child a $50 Robux gift card, and now I'm just upset. Anyway, optimizations in the system, right? Could be great. Now, it's not that development studios haven't tried. It's not easy to put a game out. In fact, you could build a game today and it won't release for 3 years. That's totally normal in today's society. But there are a lot of blockchains that are starting to find ways to get more development studios into the fold. Now, I know you're asking yourself, but Chris, I don't play games. I don't care about games. This isn't about caring about games. This is looking at investment opportunities with your funds that could appreciate due to the popularity of people playing said games. Gods Unchained is one of the projects, besides Shrapnel and Bloodloop and some of those that are out there, that specifically were being touted for their Web3 roots, which was great. Where I was really excited because I think Gods Unchained made it to the Epic Game Store, which had a really epic fight with Apple about fees. So obviously, being on that platform, a lot of news about them. The problem is, when they released their mobile version on iOS and Android, they took out the payment rail for crypto because they knew they wouldn't be able to get approved with it in there. So that is unfortunate. And that's probably, that's a blow. But to soften that blow again, like I mentioned, now we're coming to the blockchains. Arbitrum, Starknet, and also Polygon and Immutable X are throwing hundreds of millions of their tokens at game studios. 200 million ARB from Arbitrum, and then Starknet I think has done 50 million Stark tokens, like $120 million, trying to get game developers to build games on their network. This is big news in my personal opinion, because we could see movement on this now, because before it was like, hopefully we'll make it, but now it's like, okay, we're being incentivized to do it. And there are game tokens that are doing well out there. Like, for example, XAI or Xai, I believe it's how it's pronounced in Arbitrum, doing really well. It's a coin to be on the lookout for. You can LP it, get really high rates, obviously very high risk, but at the same time, GameFi is alive and well this year and could do even better as we're going through this bull market. One of my personal favorite game studios, Square Enix, who created the Final Fantasy series, along with Kingdom Hearts. That's the other one. They're actually pretty intertwined with Web3 behind the scenes. I'm just a huge Square Enix nerd, but there are a lot of game studios who are tied in with them that are validators on multiple Cosmos blockchains. But they have a gaming platform called Hyperplay that they've created that's Web3 based. They've enhanced it, they've invested into it, and they have I've looked at Symbiogenesis. It's a MetaMask-based experience that just is more of a proof of concept. But the interesting news on there is they're actually looking to bring in AI, and they're going to be bringing Amazon Gaming into the platform later on this year. That's actually very bullish news, because Amazon has a partnership specifically with Avalanche to bring more content to Web3 and back and vice versa. So Is this the year for GameFi? I really hope so, because it's been a long time coming, in my personal opinion. And this is what is going to bring more retail, more normie people into the space. Whether they know they're even in Web3 or not, to be quite honest, remains to be seen. But at the same time, being able to remove those barriers, make it more or less friction, is a good thing. So anyway, Andrew, I didn't want to ramble too long, but I want to get your thoughts on this before we continue forward.
Is Axie Infinity back, Chris?
I need to find that. Yeah, so apparently crypto gaming in the Philippines is huge again. That is something that Andrew wanted me to highlight. I don't know exactly where that is, but yes, according to a specific article, crypto gaming in the Philippines is so back. So I guess we'll see.
What's your opinion, sir?
Oh, on Axie Infinity?
Space. Yeah.
You know, it's an okay game. I mean, it's pretty simple. Obviously, I love the scholarship opportunity for people to actually play the game and make a living off of it, better than minimum wage in most countries. It's a weird job to have, in my personal opinion, but it is a job. But I do think, based on what I've seen at multiple activations in Web3 gaming, really bullish on this. I'm interested to see what Square Enix and Sony overall do in this space based on their relationships. Avalanche, I think, along with Immutable X, which is a layer 2 built on top of Polygon's chain development kit, will lead the way here. So looking at both IMX and also for AVAX and any gaming subnets that come through, will be very interesting. So I think we're still seeing the seeds planted. I don't know if it happens anytime before closer to the end of the year, but I do think it's natural for gaming to be, based on very simple payment rails, because there's so many people who want to play games that are underserved by banks, right? So this is a nice way for them to be able to get in, specifically to kill two birds with one stone, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, so GameFi is weird. I think there's a good chance there'll be money to be made in that space this cycle. But I think the thing is that I don't think most gamers care. So it either needs to be something that's like on the back end that people aren't actually seeing, or something kind of new, but like play to earn, kind of a scam in the long term, but something that can work in the short term when things get frothy enough. So that's kind of my take on it. But hey, I mean, Square Enix, who am I to go against Square Enix? If they think that Web3 and NFTs are the future of gaming, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. We're really seeing, I think, compared to last cycle, a lot more traditionally established companies adopting the tech. So it's going to be fun to watch that play out.
I agree.
Would you buy Street Fighter token, Chris?
I would. I mean, I would. Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you how I would buy it. So
would you LP Ken with Ryu?
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, let me get in the Aerodrome Ken Ryu LP and bribe me all day long with my VE Aero staking to get the incentives for that. I'd totally buy that. I do think
we're gonna do a layer 2 token called Fireball. Yeah.
I will tell you what I think is probably going to happen. I think a major protocol or a major company is going to accept crypto payment on the backside within their infrastructure. And I think, obviously it's hard to say because Microsoft has a partnership with XLR. So could it be through an Xbox? Maybe. through like the Xbox Game Pass or something like that, where you can actually have access to a game store where an Axelar based compatible token in their new ITS system we talked about 3 weeks ago could be a thing. That could be something you do. Or PlayStation Network. I can pay for credits using crypto of some type and puts in Stripe or some other payment situation that already has KYC and all that already built in. I think that's the way we're going to see this happen. Or PayPal smartens up and they go to the markets where people would be willing to use PayPal to pay for things. And if they don't, you get this one for free, PayPal. Go check out mobile gaming, and you'll see a ton of people wanting to use PYUSD to get into the system to play for games. I do think that's something that could be on the table, and they should be talking about it if they're not, because I do think there's a lot of people who, honestly, if I already had my PYUSD hooked up to my Venmo that I can pay for with my games and not have to worry, on my Android phone, on my Apple phone, and just use my Samsung Pay or whatever Pay linked to my account that hits my PYUSD or whatever it's out there, do it. I mean, there are already people who pay hundreds of dollars in fiat currency per month on most of these games. Why not make it using digital assets? That's the way I look at it. It's up to them how they're going to make that work with their marketing, but I think it's going to happen. Yeah. So anyway, we'll go and move on to another part, and this is tying in with our guest on Friday. So you guys are going to be invited to, if you're a part of our mastermind or our free group, you're going to be invited to our Q&A with Grow the Pie, a really awesome digital analytics firm that focuses on layer 2s currently. But last week we had the Dencun upgrade, right? That happened last Tuesday?
Yep.
Last Wednesday morning. Yeah, last Tuesday. So a lot of people are curious, how was the effects of the fees going to be right away? Well, we knew that Base got theirs in within 24 hours. It was going to take a little bit more time for Arbitrum, but adoption trends so far have been great. Base has been, in my personal opinion, way cheaper. I mean, when I was working with these positions like the ARUSD, it was very cheap to swap, very cheap to LP. And this is actually, you can't see this here, but this is actually a transaction volume graph from Grow the Pie, who we'll be talking to on Friday. But let's look at the big winners so far. This is L2fees.info. Based on Dencun's, with the call data and the blobs, this is the send ETH and swap token rates now as of this exact moment. So Optimism, Starknet, Arbitrum, ZK Sync at 2 cents for sending ETH. No idea what it is for swapping. And Polygon ZK EVM is actually palatable at, okay, it's still $1 a swap, but may take some time, but it'll get better, I think. But yeah, this is the effects of Dencun so far. Excellent across the board in my personal opinion. And yeah, I think this is really bullish for L2s right now. And we've talked quite a bit in our theses, throughout these calls about L2s that we think are going to do well. A lot of them are tied, interestingly, to CEXs. So, Andrew, looking at this chart, what do you think about what you're seeing so far based on the effects of the IP 4844 upgrade with Dencun?
This is current?
This is current. I will refresh the page for you. I haven't used Loopring ever. It's been a while since I've heard Loopring. There are 2 versions of the ZK Sync blockchain, by the way. Era is going to be the main net that we normally use, but seeing ZK Sync at 2 cents. I kind of
wish they had scroll and base on here.
Agreed. And again, we'll learn more about that when we talk to, again, this is just a small smattering, obviously. But we'll hear more when we talk to Grow the Pie on Friday.
Look, man, it's cheaper.
Oh yeah.
It's way cheaper, and I don't know how they've got Starknet being that cheap. That's confusing to me.
Yeah, considering they're a non-EVM chain, but
might be kind of bullish Starknet, honestly.
Yeah.
That just shows that there's a lot of work they can do on the L2 side to utilize those optimizations if this is correct. And it's like Polygon ZK VM not optimizing well around Dencun, but ZK Sync and Starknet apparently optimizing real well.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, much cheaper to use these blockchains. One thing to say about optimism is that, again, there are multiple blockchains built on top of the OP stack. Base is one of them. OPBNB, Mode. I don't want to say Blast, but there are multiple others that are built on top of the OP stack that specifically are going to be really good recipients of these changes. I think we're going to see an uptick of traffic going back and forth. I expect bridge traffic on things like Orbiter, Rhino, Squid Router, all go up based on this. So there could be multiple opportunities there to look into specific opportunities for investment there as well. So take these figures and figure out what could be worth it for you going to other blockchains, and using tools that we'll talk about in a little bit to specifically make the right decisions for your allocation. To answer your question, ultimately, Polygon has a ZKVM has an interesting story in terms of why it's probably more expensive, but I think a lot of it has to do with the way they just batch transactions, honestly. I don't think it's a volume thing, because by far they don't have anywhere near the volume as Optimism and Arbitrum or Base. So,
and if anything, actually, this is kind of counterintuitive, but the correct me if I'm wrong on the technical stuff here, Chris, but the cost should go down as volume goes up, because
yes,
the roll-ups are batching transactions. So if you're part of a larger batch because there's more volume on the L2, it should actually be cheaper. Think of it like if you're like renting out a charter bus, right? And you're going to go to the beach. If you're going to that charter bus or you're going to the beach by yourself, that is going to be one expensive bus that you're taking to the beach. But if you bring all your friends and they all pay a small ticket fee and you split up the cost of that bus, then you might get actually a really good deal from taking that bus to the beach. So like the roll up is the bus that's going to the L1, and if the seats are full, then everybody pays less. And the bus still moves at the same speed regardless. You're muted, Chris.
Sorry, I said very good point, sir. Sorry, I lost my window for a second. So we'll go into the what we've learned section of the call. And it's going to be pretty short this week. Ultimately, when we talked about projects last week during our call for help section, again, thanks to Brian for the question, we talked specifically about data provenance, right? That was the talk, and we were using the example of grass, which is at getgrass.io. Hopefully you were able to based off our talk off of that, we know that multiple people were looking to get in, and we had a link in the show notes for you to get in. Hopefully you're able to take advantage of that. This is one of multiple projects specifically in DEPIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. Protocols that are using blockchain and decentralization to help disrupt and change the way that we do business. And again, for those of you who are new to DeFi, the reason we are so bullish on DeFi is because we truly believe, even though we eat, sleep, and breathe DeFi, that decentralized finance and just decentralized everything is going to be the future of how we live and do business. Grass is no different than some older projects that are out there, like SETI at Home. Folding If you ever done folding from Stanford University, I think it's from Stanford or Berkeley,
Oh man,
where
Chris, you're bringing back my teenage years,
I
sir.
know this is no different than what's going on there, where you're using your compute power to
I was folding at like 14 years old 20 years ago.
exactly. You're just using unused compute to help go with folding in terms of protein research, right? For diseases and all that kind of stuff that they were trying to do with the data. This is no different, except the context is different because ultimately, with this surge in popularity of AI, the whole idea now is how true is the data? How good is the data that's coming out from AI? Because obviously, it's using language models to be trained to give you the data that we have. And for data provenance specifically, it's about training the data to be accurate. So this is a whole new portion of DEPIN that's kind of arisen that I think is worth looking into. Grass is one of them. Another one I wanted to bring up. And secondly, because for anyone who's in our mastermind, we've been looking at Dimension for quite some time. This is rivals.ai. And they have a new protocol, not protocol, a ROLLAPP coming out specifically in the same vein as Grass to try and create data provenance through one of their specific protocols with their nodes. But they're also going to be trying to do gaming as well as creating more LLMs or language learning models on the backside. Regardless, they're going to be a ROLLAPP on the Dimension ecosystem. If you're in the mastermind, you know all about staking. For DEM stakers, Riz is one of the first tokens that will be going out. There are four projects that are coming out specifically from Dimension that's going to be giving to DEM stakers, and Rivals is one of them. So if you're looking for another place to get in, you can sign up through. There's a link down here. You can put in your email. Make sure you put a throwaway email, and then I found the alpha will take you to a special place to find out more. So there's that. But interesting part about this ROLLAPP is not only they're built on Dimension, which is just a big eigenlayer type infrastructure. They're also being powered by Celestia for their data availability. So two big names here that bring a lot of weight to what they're doing. So yeah, I do think that data provenance is going to be something that is going to be here to stay. Another group that we looked at specifically in Denver, and I know Andrew, you spent some time with some people who are working, in this specific niche, but it's called DeSci or Decentralized Science.
Yep.
And basically, what is decentralized science? It's basically using decentralized frameworks and protocols to specifically advance science, right? Make it easier for collaborators and scientists to publish their work and do so in a data integrity focused and privacy focused way. Any other insights on DeSci that you wanted to talk about with people you met, Andrew, specifically because I know ZK was another huge narrative that played really well into them.
The DeSci folks are concerned about, scientists being able to put out information in a censorship resistant way that can also protect their personal safety, which means, pseudonymity and zero knowledge proofs play into that. And that's a pretty long conversation to get into the weeds on. I don't know that there's a lot of money to be made in this space, but it's certainly something that is happening and some nerds are nerding out about for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And, ultimately, the whole point of a lot of these disruptive groups using decentralization as part of their flag, a lot of their banner, is that they're looking for an anti-fragile, censorship resistant, and privacy focused infrastructure to build new concepts. I was on a call earlier today with a group that's trying to create pretty much a brand new internet, but in a decentralized way. They're using multiple tools out there, like they're partnering with.
You watch Silicon Valley, Chris?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Remember building a new internet.
They're building a new internet. Yeah. So they're using.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, there's a lot of
Because
infrastructure
it's
that's
better.
around because it's better. When trying to do it in a decentralized way is going to be interesting because you've had a lot of people who have been deplatformed. You've had a lot of people who have no autonomy in terms of
as long as they build it middle out, it's going to work.
Yeah, I do think that there's going to be a revolution on what we call self-hosting, right? We're going to see people wanting to take a lot of what they do into their own hands because, you know, your keys, your crypto, your choice, I suppose. But just be on the lookout for a lot of these decentralized topics because essentially we're going to be in a world where everything could be decentralized, and it's hard to have any sense of maybe jurisdiction without regulation on how this is going to be regulated, policed, or what's going to represent the integrity of the data you're seeing before you, especially in a world full of misinformation and AI created content. How do you know what's real? And I think that's what a lot of these new frameworks that are coming out amongst multiple industries. I'm not just talking about tech and crypto. We're talking everything is looking to get a disruption through decentralization. So keep that in mind as you're looking forward for additional opportunities to get into, whether it just be for investment or just learning. Keep that in mind. So that's what we've learned for this week. We'll go ahead and move on. We're running out of time here on the call to call for help. Today's question is from Damien. I didn't write it down for a banner for you. I apologize. The question is based off of our talk with Memecoins. The question is, where do I look for Memecoins? Because I think it has to be pre-CEX, but after the trust me bro phase, on average, they seem to have a maximum 4-week pump cycle before falling away to essentially nothing. So there is a window to get in with the right alpha. Seems like there are some meme coins that have genuine use cases, or at least the perception of that. Floki, for example, seems to have an associated ecosystem. So I guess that the question is where to look and how to find these things. We have a lot of thoughts on this, obviously. But Andrew, I think you brought up a good point when we were kind of talking about this offline. One thing you had mentioned on one of our mastermind calls is, basically how to act in a world full of dozens of launches happening per day.
So I think there's two helpful general strategies, and frankly, neither of them involve research with meme coins, in my opinion. My opinion may be a little bit different than yours, Chris. That's okay. We have a diversity of opinion.
Yep.
Number one, you know the devs, or you know somebody who knows the devs. It's who you know. It's who you know. It's getting the tip, and you're not gonna hit it every time with that either, but that is the best way. Number two, in a rising market where many memes are being launched, aping all of them, as in buying them without researching them, at a similar size, or the same size preferably, may end up being plus EV. I was having a conversation with a friend in Denver, and he said this to me. He said, last cycle, I asked why a lot. And I made good money last cycle, but like I have some friends that are like way dumber than me, and they made more. They made more money because they were just aping. They were just going in, and they sold out. He said, I'm committed to not asking why anymore. So with the meme coins, don't ask why. Either know the devs or have actual alpha, or literally just be like, I'm going to put $50, $10, $100, $1,000, whatever the number is. And I'm going to put it with this size into all these meme coins. I'm going to do a meme coin a day, $100 a day. Whatever the strategy is, as long as you're consistent and the market conditions are right, it's probably going to work better than trying to research meme coins. It's not a research thing. Unless you're researching their marketing teams and like who's actually behind them, and then what you're really doing is you're generating alpha. You're not just like doing research. The tokenomics don't matter. Like none of so that's my thoughts. Very not financial advice, but if you're gonna ape meme coins, just ape some meme coins. And that the most important thing that I have learned about aping meme coins and high risk activities such as that is to pick your size correctly so that you can make enough bets. Because you find an 100x by making 100 bets.
No, I think it's perfect advice.
And that's kind of like the magic, and it's also like why it's better to be a bull than to be a bear, because there's a finite amount of room that you can bet on the price going down, while there's essentially an infinite there's an infinite amount of space for you to bet on the price going up. Chris, back to you.
You're a wild thing, sir. You're a wild thing. No, I think that's actually,
yeah. This is bull market Andrew for sure. Yeah.
No. That's absolutely fantastic. Words from you, sir. I mean, ultimately, if you're gonna be doing anything with meme coins, the one thing you also have to recognize too is you have to be willing to risk what you're willing to lose. That's why whenever we talk about portfolios, and of course you can find this on our scroll group if you want to know how we feel about setting up your allocations, you don't throw everything you have at these things. You have an allocation specifically, put off for meme coins because there's a specific system on how you're going to allocate your long hold major assets. And meme coins are part of that process. They're not going to be a big part, but they're going to be a part. And that's why when you're looking to ape meme coins, obviously, you're going to miss a lot. But you may get a couple that actually pop off pretty good. You can take measured wins, which you should be taking profit regularly, or you can wait for that moon bag when you should never time the market anyway, because most times you're going to lose. What I will do to answer Damien's question is give a couple of ideas as to how, right? Because you mentioned not doing a lot of research into meme coins. Obviously, you can certainly follow teams on Twitter. But honestly, by the time it hits there in a lot of places, if you're looking to be like super 1000x, you're too late. There's a lot of stuff that just happens in the trenches that honestly you can't time. You just have to know someone. So first thing I'll give you is Dexscreener. Dexscreener started out as literally a website that aggregated decentralized exchanges across multiple blockchains. So if you're going to a new blockchain, you knew what the DEX is worth. For example, if I went to Base, I could see across the top, these are all of the current decentralized exchanges that exist on Base. Obviously, on certain chains, there are way more, but these are going to be the largest based on TVL, even though Airdrome is by far the largest on there. But one thing that they do provide is trending tokens, and you can rank them based on here. I mean, it's no secret that if you go back to the main page, the majority of the hottest coins are going to be on Solana. Now, are they all good buys? No, absolutely not. That's going to take a little bit more research for me to figure out which one works for you. But there's more to it than that. Obviously, we're not going to go too deep in the weeds, but I just want to give you a couple of places you can check. The second is going to be on Birdeye. Birdeye is, in my opinion, one of the best places to get aggregated information. You can swap directly within if you wanted to do that. And for me, these two sites have been probably the best sites to check out if you're looking to get in. And again, as Andrew mentioned, size is the most important thing. These are meme
sizing your bets. Think you're going. Yes. Think about it like if you're playing poker or you're playing blackjack.
Exactly.
Do you have the bankroll for $5 blackjack hands or $500 blackjack hands?
And there you go. Hopefully that answered your question, Damien. I appreciate that. Again, if you have a question you'd like for us to answer, feel free to reach out, comment. That would be great. Just reach out. It's easy to find us. Join our TVL group. Again, that's another great way to do so. It's free. So join the rest, the hundreds of people who have joined our group looking to get to crypto nirvana along with us here at Beacon. And with that said, that's today's show. Thanks for joining us. Again, be very careful out there. We're getting closer to the halving, so obviously a little bit more volatility, a little bit more froth and chop. And there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Let's go.
And let's and go, LFG.
Let's go.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you for next week's show. Again, we'll if you join the group, you can get the link to our talk with Grow the Pie on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Going to be a great talk. You'll learn a lot about how analytics work and how you should be researching.
And don't forget to comment your favorite color if you're looking for some swag from Chris.
Yeah, we'll do that. Why not? Although I'd prefer you join the free group. If you want the best chance to win, join the free group. Go introduce yourself. You'll be in the running to pretty much get some swag from ETH Denver.
Always do both.
You can always do both. All right.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, comment your favorite color, and join Total Value Locked.
Tell us how you like our hair. 07. Beacons up, bangs down. See you later, guys.